Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fluently Forward. I am so excited to have on today's guest. Welcome, Shay. She is it the right word on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. And she's about to be starting her own podcast. And I have been obsessed with every single one of her pop culture takes, her nuances, the way that you dive into all of these celebrities and their dynamics. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Shay?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. I was so honored that you reached out to me.
I was trying, there's nothing better than when you discover somebody new
Yeah,
online and you
yeah,
immediately binge all of their content. And that
yeah,
was exactly what I did with you.
yeah, yeah,
I discovered you from a bunch of videos you've been making about like critical analysis of Taylor Swift and all of these capacities.
yeah.
And then I found all of your pop culture videos. Tell everybody before we get into the main topic today a little bit about what got you making content on the internet and where your love of pop culture came from. Because the way you look
Yeah.
at it is so like chewy and full
Yeah.
of depth. I really like it.
Thank you. I think I've always been low key a pop culture junkie. I've always found pop culture to be very like interesting because I think it says a lot about who we are as a society. Like the way that we treat and consume celebrities and pop culture, I think speaks to a lot of like thematically where we are. I think like for instance, like the early two for me, like I always say that Britney Spears was like the first, like the thing that really got me into the whole pop culture thing, or starting to think critically about pop culture and narratives and what we say about people and what we're saying about people and what it does to them and like celebrities' humanity and all this and the fact that people don't see celebrities oftentimes as human beings and the way we consume them and tear them apart and then are mad and then celebrate raising them up and then celebrate pulling them down. And Taylor Swift is also another like profoundly interesting figure in that sense too, where she's been like she's also very I actually think that Taylor Swift, my theory of the case is that Taylor studied Britney's career and purposely did
Ooh,
things differently because of that. You know what I mean? I think that
yes.
because Britney's personal life became something that was consumed rapidly by the public. But then Taylor Swift made it so that her personal life, she weaponized it so that she could
Hmm.
not be monetized from it. So she's not consumed by it. She's getting paid for it. You know what I mean? So I feel like she looked at it and then did pivoted differently because
And
she's a very
also,
strategic
that's
woman.
kind of the only option you can do because there's so
Yep.
many celebrities who try to be private. And unless
Yep.
you're like, for example, like Tom and Zendaya, who might have
Right.
recently gotten married,
Yeah.
unless you like
Lorde.
fully go away, and you can
Yeah.
really only do that if you're an actor and you're only taking
Right.
on projects. If
Right.
you're a musician, like your public life is going to be out there. So you might as
Right.
well make money off of it
That's
because
right.
otherwise someone else is. It's almost reminds me of how, like, I think there was a blog with Meghan Markle where they would
Yeah.
have affiliate links to her clothes. And then when
Yeah.
she set that up for herself, people were
Yeah.
like, it's greedy. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, other people are doing the same and making money off of it. So,
Right, exactly. You have to
mm,
find a way to kind of like monetize it, right? Like, or like figure out a way, or it's not even just monetization, it's about taking control, taking your
yeah.
power back as opposed, because the thing is that I feel Hollywood, it looks to me, I mean, like I'm not really in, but it seems like a very much kill or be killed type of industry. You know what I mean? Either you become the prey or you become the predator, and I find that sort of power interplay to be fascinating, and so like I guess if the question is about like where my wider lens came from, I'm like I have a master of public health, I'm a doctor, like whatever, so you know what I mean, I'm like educated, so I think about like power and
Which, by the
structures.
way, you're rushing through that, but that's incredibly impressive. And I feel like it doesn't matter what capacity someone is educated in. It
Yeah.
just adds this layer of like, I
Yeah.
want to study a topic. I want to
Right.
explore other possibilities to it. I want to look at it from all angles because
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure you might be on the same page with me about this, but everybody poo poos pop culture and
Yeah.
everybody poo poos all of these things. But there's so much going on within it. Like it's such an industry, it's
Absolutely.
such a beast. It's almost even just like politics, right? Like you have
Absolutely.
the good politician everyone
Absolutely.
likes, but then they get power and now they
Yeah.
suck and they're signing off
Exactly.
and taking money from lobbyists. And
Exactly.
it's almost like pop culture just shows that power corrupts everyone, but
That's absolutely right.
it just
That's
sounds
exactly
catchy.
right.
Yeah, when it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people like don't take it seriously, but the thing is that I think that there is a lot of serious stuff in it. Like because it's pop culture is something that everybody is, even if you don't want to pay attention to pop culture, there's certain people who are going to pervade your sphere no matter which way you slice it, right? So who are those people? How did they get that position? What makes them powerful? And what did they do? And what did they compromise? And what parts of their humanity do they give up to get there? You know what I mean? That's what,
Hmm.
and I think that that's what makes it, yeah, people don't think it's serious, but I, especially on my platform, I try to package things into it that help people learn about psychology, about mental health, about power and control, about
Even
structures.
your K-pop video recently, or
Yeah.
by the time this comes out, it'll be maybe a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago. I learned a bunch of stuff in your latest video about Blackpink that I had no
Yeah.
idea about, how these
Yeah.
contracts in Korea for these
Yep.
idols last like 7 years, the
Yep.
stock market, and like how everything comes into play with
Yeah.
the money and the power. And
Yeah.
I feel like every single country kind of has their own, obviously, version of like the entertainment vehicle.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I mean, let me tell you, in America, we do it differently than a lot of places. Like, we
Yes, we
really
do.
suck them dry. Although I
We
would
really
say for
do.
K-pop idols, they definitely get that treatment too.
Yep, yep. I think Korea feels like, honestly, Korea in a lot of ways is like the more extreme version of the United States in a lot of ways. Like in the way that they do things. I mean, there's
It's
a reason why
crazy.
Squid Game and Parasite came out of Korea. Like,
And I
you
don't
just
even know much
the
about
capitalism. It's the
like
nature of capitalism.
the K-pop world. And it's really, I'm also babysitting my sister's kids this week at night.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, like, K-pop Demon Hunters, I haven't
Oh
seen the
my God.
movie. I know
Yeah.
every song.
Yep.
But when I think about the K-pop world and the few things that I have heard about it, I'm like, this is wild. Like, you're not
Yeah.
allowed to date somebody because the
Yep.
fans would go crazy. Like, if you
Yep.
drop out, someone else takes your place. And I feel
Yep.
like with Cat's Eye, we're starting to bridge the worlds there. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's a dynamic I'm totally like
It's
shook over,
me too.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And the way that these people are really seen as like products, and they are called idols, like K-pop idols, because I think it's almost like you're supposed to be like, if you think about it, an idol is like a something that is on a shelf that you look at and that only looks a very certain way and doesn't do anything that's outside of the very narrow view. And that's what happens. It's like these girls give up total control of their lives in order to pursue this thing. And a lot of them, there was a long time. I mean, the 7-year contract thing was that was a legal revision of it, actually. Like, it used to be like these like 10, 15-year contracts that were basically like slave contracts where sometimes people were not making any money, like all kinds of stuff. So now they made it so that it has to end after 7, so that it has to be renegotiated and renewed. But it's crazy. It's crazy. But
Wow.
yeah.
And that's why I
Yeah.
find it so fascinating when you get like Britney Spears shaving her head, or like
Yeah.
Doja Cat yelling at her fans, or like
Yeah.
Maddie Healy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he's close to like taking out his wiener and like
Yeah,
peeing on
he's
stage or
might
something.
as well. Exactly. If you told me he did that, I would have been like, I wouldn't even like flinch and be like, oh, I guess I missed that
Yeah,
one.
it'd be like,
Like, I
which
would
time? Yeah.
okay, what's new? The water's wet, the sun rose this morning. That's what I
Yeah. But it's
say.
just so cool to see how some celebrities just really spit in the face of that. And then
Yeah.
others play by the rules. And then
Yeah.
some try to become the rule setters themselves, kind of like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, I love all of your takes. And I'm so happy to have you on because
Oh, thank you.
we were pitching these ideas back and forth over email. And a
Yeah.
topic that I've been just noodling on for a minute is, almost to quote, I think it would be Sheryl Crow when she says, the first cut is the deepest.
Yes.
I sometimes think that artists have a first debut album and it
Yeah.
does so well,
Yeah.
and nothing ever compares to it again. And I'm really
Yeah.
fascinated by this
Yeah.
idea of like Renaissance eras. Like, I feel like Timbaland had a Renaissance era. I feel like Tina
Yes.
Fey with 30 Rock and Mean Girls. Like,
Yes.
certain people just have their peak, but for a lot, it doesn't
Yeah.
happen right away. And for
Right.
some artists, their first debut album is just still, after so many albums, their best one. And what we're
Yep.
seeing now with Taylor Swift or Katy Perry is that it almost feels like the more albums they put out, the worse they
Yeah.
get. And you
Yep.
would think it
Yep.
would be the opposite, like you would be
Yep.
honing your craft more and
Yeah.
more. So we're going to kind of chat about all of these different ideas. But one of the first questions I want to ask you before we get into the specifics is, do you think it's always been like that over time? Or do you think that maybe with social media and the noise of what it means to be a celebrity, people
Mm.
now start to get a little bit skittish, or maybe closed off, or not want to create great
Yeah.
art because there's so much
Yeah.
more noise than if you were, the Beatles back in the day?
I think the Beatles, I think like back in the day before celebrity culture was always a thing, but they used to have like lives. We used to like basically not know anything about them because you didn't have access to people, right?
Mhm.
But I think in this age, like especially the paparazzi age, so I think the entire time that I've been for my adult life, like, or my whole life, like child and adult life, I think that when you become famous, there's a certain amount of pressures that come on you to recreate or to do the same thing or to recapture lightning in a bottle or to pivot so you maintain people's attention. And I think that that is what um, can poison the artistry
It's
in a
also
lot
so
of
different with
ways.
music because I feel like
Yeah.
in Hollywood, they're like, if something's good, make it a sequel, make it a
Yep.
franchise, make it a
Yep.
third. But
Exactly.
with pop artists, it's like, oh, if you do the same thing, it's going to be
Yeah.
boring. So now you have to
Right.
twist it up. There's almost
Evolve.
more
Yeah.
pressure. I mean, I think with
Yeah.
honestly, all types of entertainment, I feel like pop music is the most critical, the hardest to succeed in
Yep.
for all of these different reasons. Because
Yep.
Ed Sheeran, I feel like every single album he puts out is just like a redo of the old one.
Right, right, right. And he's trying desperately to recapture what happened at that
Mhm.
time. But that sort of millennial sincerity of his music, like that's just not how Gen Z is. Gen Z is not that. They're not chalant. They are deep in their cringe culture nonchalantness. And that's just it's hard for an Ed Sheeran to resonate in that type of environment
Because
if you don't
everything's
change with the
gnarly.
time. That's right, exactly. Fried chicken, gnarly.
Gnarly. Tesla,
Tesla,
gnarly.
gnarly.
It's just it's very, very different. When you say
Yeah,
millennial sincerity too, I really like
yeah,
that because it used to be
yeah.
millennial cringe, but what is
Yeah.
cringe but millennial sincerity? It's
I think
just a
it's
nicer way to
sincerity.
say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think. It's like, I think I feel sorry for Gen Z and their whole thing about cringe culture. Like, I think it's sad to think to be afraid to express yourself because you don't want to seem cringe. I think that we had a benefit of I don't know, just being like embodying yourself and letting your freak flag kind of fly, where you're able to sort of in your youth kind of have all these hyper fixations and kind of like build a sense of self identity. But I think when you're constantly being perceived and constantly like from a very young age, like people are on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, or at least aware of these things and also participating in the ecosystem of them, you're criticizing others. So therefore, you feel the need to criticize yourself. That criticism turns inward. And I think that that's why once again, it's like pop culture links to the culture right now. I think that why we see so much like cancel culture and this person said this thing, so we got to throw them out with the bathwater. I think that people view themselves that way. There's a lot of like, I think there's like a lot of like shadow work people are not doing. I think that they're split off from who they are as human beings
Mhm.
and they're compartmentalizing and I also think that that's why you see such like polarizing like stan wars, right? Because it's like you either have to be all good or all bad. There's no in between, anymore. So and I think it just creates it creates anxiety. It creates anxiety. And that's why they have more anxiety
It
than any other
does.
generation.
Well, also even the algorithm, if everyone's online and the algorithm caters towards negative content over
Right.
positive, I feel like
Yes.
even with myself, like
Yeah.
I had to take a little bit of a break from therapy recently because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm focusing so much on what's bad with me or what's wrong or like, is it
Yeah.
ADHD or OCD or like what's going on? And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about all my great qualities, like
Right.
my empathy
Exactly.
and my creativity. Like
Exactly.
I should at least be spending 50% of the time on good stuff. And
Absolutely.
I feel like with a lot of us, we're also negative. Like we know all of our faults, but
Yeah.
how much time are we spending to celebrate our, I don't know, our wins basically?
Yeah. Our wins. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
our uniqueness or the things that make us us. I think that that's a thing. Like we are like as human beings we are all different and the things that make us special are the things that are unique about us, right? So I think
Mhm.
that it's important to celebrate those things and be proud of them and also hone them too and like sharpen them, and create, and it helps you evolve into who you are as a person. And I think this actually relates back to the main topic, which is the first album best album, is like I think that sometimes artists, because I'm just thinking about that too.
Mhm.
Artists, they get lost in that sort of they get too stuck on what other people say. Oh, it's this. This is what it was, and you try to like recreate, recapture, as opposed to developing the core skills of who you are. Like someone like Taylor Swift is a really good example of that. Her core skill is songwriting, storytelling, and talking about love. That's her whole arc, right? And she's been able to carry that and always she always returns to that in all the different evolutions and iterations. That's always the core. And I think, Beyonce, I think her is also another person with a long career who's evolved with time, and it seems to be getting better. I think that Beyonce, initially was about being like the best at her craft, but then I think that with Lemonade she started to think about like race and identity and her position in culture and black identity, and then that and she has evolved into a person where she understands her leadership position in our society and understands the impact of her work and understands the power of her platform and her voice. And she's using it in albums like Cowboy Carter and in Renaissance to like elevate marginalized communities and like talk about Black country music and things like that. That is, I think that that is like what a proper evolution looks like. But I think that other artists, like who we're going to talk about today, kind of can get stuck
Yeah.
in that process, you know?
Oh, it's a great example because it's all about, and I feel like what makes an artist is like you have a fire within and it
Yes,
drives you.
that's right.
And I think we have
That's
so
right.
many corporate artists nowadays who get
That's right.
driven from the external, like the boardroom tells them what to do rather than
Exactly.
them telling the boardroom. So it
Exactly.
makes sense that for the first album, for a lot of these people, it's just pure them. And that's what makes it so
Exactly.
great. So
That's
let's
right.
start with the first one here. And this is, I mean, we both had this on our list.
Yeah.
Lorde's first
Yeah.
album,
I was
Pure
hoping it was gonna be
Heroine.
Lorde. Listen, I was
Oh,
hoping it was gonna be Lorde because I was like, I have so much to say about Lorde, and I was like, one thing what comes in pure
let me,
heroin.
yeah, let me, what was your experience with this album? Like, when did you hear it and how did it move you?
You know, pure heroin. I remember I heard it. I know what year it came out because I know where I was when I saw her face with Royals. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it, the close up that pulled out. You know what I mean? I still remember where I was when I saw that for the first time. You know, it was. It must have been like 2014, right? 2013,
I
2013,
remember, I think
2014,
so. I
something
was in
like that.
Belize on a golf cart when I first heard
Yeah.
Royals, and I was
I
like, oh my God, my life has changed. The song.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, and I think that what Lorde is a really good writer. She's a very, very good writer, and
So,
her
and she
mom's a
was so
writer.
young when she did this
So
album.
young.
I was
Yeah,
re-listening to it this
yeah,
morning where she was
yeah.
like, I forget what song it is. She's like, everyone's searching for something they're going to compete, but what this palace
Everyone's competing for love they won't receive, but what this palace wants is release.
is
Teen. It's one of my favorite.
release.
It's one of my favorite
Oh
songs. It's
my
one of my favorite songs.
God. Like,
We live in cities. Oh, you'll never see on screen. Might not be
so
pretty, but we
good.
sure know how to run things. Ah, poetry. Okay.
Every single song, like not only did it have this cool, unique sound to it where like
Yeah.
you felt cool playing that album. And there was
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
book I've read and I always shout it out. I think it was called Contagious by Jonah Berger, like why
Mm,
things pop off. And it's like what
yeah.
goes viral, what makes people want to share something. And I remember when I listened to Pure Heroine by Lorde, one of the things that makes something viral is if you see a take online or you
Yeah.
read about a hack,
Yeah.
you are excited about it. It gives you
Yeah.
a rush. And then you
Yeah.
want to share it with other people. You want to
That's
be like,
right.
I'm the one who brought this to other people.
That's right.
And Lord's first album, it was like, I want to show this to people. I want them to know
Right.
this is the music I'm listening to because it's
Right.
cool. And
Right.
to that end, there was this Spotify exec who ended up putting Royals on a popular playlist of his that everybody
Mm-hmm.
listened to because he really
Mm-hmm.
liked the song. And
Mm-hmm.
some people think that led to Lord industry plant allegations because then the whole thing popped up.
Oh,
I think maybe it just happened a little bit sooner than it would have happened otherwise. But I think it had that contagious element to it where the minute you heard a song, you were like, oh my God, like I need to curate my life to this. I need to put
right.
it on at a party
Right.
playlist.
Right. It
So
had the effect of
yeah.
stopping you in your tracks. Like that's like I think that's like the fact that you remember where you were. I was in Pennsylvania. Like you know what I mean? I remember where I was. I remember where I was. I remember I was at somebody's house. I don't even remember who the person was anymore, but I know that I saw it on TV. Yeah, I remember it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I think that Lord Pure Heroine came at a perfect moment because the indie era was kind of dying down at that time.
Hmm.
And pop music had become perhaps too formulaic. It was, and we were also, I think we were like coming out of that sort of like well, the end of Timberland's like Imperial era, right? And
Hmm.
sort of like the TI and whatever. There was a desperation for depth and uniqueness in pop music that I think Lorde, she came in and she pulled all of us indie people. Cause I was like, at that time, I had given up on pop music because I don't know, they destroyed Britney Spears. And I was like, I can't take you anymore. I'm going underground. So I was, I was deep in the indie music like scene down there. You know what I mean? And I think she pulled all of the indie people from underground up into pop again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also think that to speak to first album, best album, there was an insight and a freshness of perspective and a sort of the way she writes. She's so poetic in the way that she writes that people had never heard before. And also she's like weird looking too, to be honest. Like she's beautiful in a very ethereal, weird, witchy way. Like you know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
think that her appearance too is also like her big black hair, you know, it was just like striking. You know, she's very pale skin, very dark hair, you know, and with these such powerful words that like reverberate through time. I went to her ultrasound tour. Girl, going seeing Lorde in concert is like a spiritual experience. I'm telling you. Like
Wait,
there
did she shush the crowd though? I love those
no,
videos where
no.
she
So
tells them
that's
the
some shit that people went. She went viral for that. And people, the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, okay? Like free Lorde from those allegations. Okay. Because I was at the melodrama show. I went to it twice. That show was one of the most powerful shows I've ever been to in my life. It really was something. I think the way that people, and that's what I don't like about that's the whole thing about cringe culture we were talking about earlier. People will pull things out of context and make fun of you for it, right? But
Mhm.
it's not really, if you were there, the experience of it was all consuming because like it sounds kind of like out of tune when she's singing alone and like the video's off, but like in the moment you had just Lorde's concerts are like honestly, I grew up in like the evangelical church. It's like literally like praise and worship. Like it's literally
Mhm.
it's you just everyone's screaming the lyrics at the top of their lungs and you're having this like cathartic experience. And I think the moment of quiet, if it happened, if she did shush at the LA show or at the Boston show, I don't recall it, but if she did do it, it was a way of creating silence in something that had been so expressive in a
Also,
moment.
sometimes you need people to shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think when I was in band in high
Yeah.
school playing the saxophone,
Yeah.
sometimes when people would like clap along, they're doing
Yeah.
it off beat and now it's going
Yeah.
to mess up you know what I mean? So sometimes you just want like
Exactly.
a perfect moment,
A
but
moment. Yeah.
I'm with you. Like there's something about Lorde where I almost feel like she's able to complete this holy trifecta that not a
Yeah.
lot of people can with pop music, where
Yeah.
it's cool, but it's
Yeah.
also deep and you can
Yep.
dance to it. And like,
Yep.
let's say, for
Yep.
example,
Yep.
Sabrina Carpenter, you can
Yeah.
dance to it and feel cool, but it's not going to
Yeah.
be
It's
super
not that
deep.
deep. Yeah,
Or for someone
exactly.
else, like it's cool and it's
Exactly.
deep, but you can't,
Yeah.
like Lana Del Rey, you can't really shake ass to Lana
Yeah,
Del Rey.
exactly.
So
Can't really
like,
do response. All right.
yeah.
Summertime sad. Just joking.
Just, I love all these videos of like people trying to like chemtrails over the country club, like dance
Yeah,
to it
exactly.
somehow. But for
Exactly.
Lorde, you were able to do all three. Like you could
Yeah.
listen to it at a pregame. You could also
Yep.
listen to it crying. You could also listen
Yep.
to it on a train ride and like
Yep.
get in your feelings. And,
Yep. Yep.
it was just such a great album. And I do think Melodrama was also her second album, was
Yeah.
also good. I
Yeah, it was
think
a great album too.
if that was
Yeah.
the first one that she did, maybe it would be lauded over as like this incredible debut album.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then she did Solar Power
Girl, she lost her
afterwards.
way. She lost her
Yeah.
way. She
So do
lost
you
her
think that
way.
was just too much Jack Antonoff influence or what?
I think so. I think that with Pure Heroine, she came out of the gate and it was like a huge success. And then I think that with Melodrama, she still had the caprice of youth, I think, and the sort of what does that mean? Like the sort of thing, feeling that you can do anything, right? The arrogance of it all, right?
Yeah, yeah, the
Where so
boldness.
yeah, the boldness, exactly. And I think that even though it got put into the Jack Antonoff like kind of formula, and it has that very, very, very strong, I feel like the most clear fingerprints of Jack Antonoff's like style are Lorde Melodrama and Taylor Swift's Midnights. Though that's his sound. Like if
Yes.
you want to look at the production style, that's what his sound is. And so it definitely had that Jack Antonoff production style, but it still had that rawness and boldness in it. Like there's a line in Perfect Places, I'm 19 and I'm on fire. You know what I mean? She's like, it's that we're all the things we're taking anyway, whatever. I know she's one of my favorites. So like, but I think with Solar Power, she got too much in her head. She got too much in her head. She was too much about like, I don't want to be part of this Hollywood life. I want to be different. Like, I'm healing. This is what healing looks like. Healing looks like throwing my cell phone in the water and being detached from reality and and be like removing myself out of everybody's context and not picking up my phone when the label calls and like independence, where what it really looked like was being out of touch. Because in the same album she's talking to us about being healed and stuff and try to drag people for having crystals in mood songs like Mood Ring, right? She's talking to me about I'm gonna put my Vogue magazines and my Celine dresses and go to an island and be a leader of a new regime. I'm like, girl, the fact that you have Celine dresses is a marker of privilege. Like, Kim, people are dying. Like, it's COVID. What are you talking
Well,
about? Like, you
so
don't want to hear
different
that.
from Pure Heroine too. And
Right.
I for her latest album, there was a girl who I forget her handle, but she made some sort of parody version of it where she was like, I'm ovulating on a city bike and my IUD is on the counter. Like, and it's just like, like I did DBT therapy and now I'm in
Yeah.
a K-hole. And it was
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
it almost has like the
Exactly.
same buzzwords and slang
Yeah.
that Pure
Yeah.
Heroine did, but
Yeah.
with Pure Heroine, like, yes, she's singing about herself, but she was almost singing more in, like, archetypes and for a group of
That's
different
right.
people, and then I
That's
feel
right.
like with every album afterwards, there
Right.
was more of a me focus, or I'm singing from my perspective.
And that's right. And I think that that's what distances her
Yeah.
from what made her great. But the thing is that not to say, listen, I think that Lord is on the right path with Virgin. I think that Virgin felt like a solar power. I was like, oh, she might be gone. Like this might be it. It might just be those two albums, Melodrama and Pure Heroine. And that will be what she put out, and that'll be great. I mean, Lauryn Hill's like Miseducated Lauryn Hill is an eternally evergreen album, right? So maybe that's it, you know. But with Virgin, I was like, oh, okay, maybe she can find her artistic direction again. I think it was a step in the right direction. But I think what you're saying is so insightful about the me focus, because you're right. Because like I think that Pure Heroine was about the system and was about suburban life and was
Even, like,
about
"We live in cities, we'll never see" it
yeah,
wasn't "I live in cities, you'll never see" it
right,
was "we,"
right,
like
right. There's a collective
yeah,
focus.
and of course, the more famous
Yeah,
you get, of course you're gonna focus on yourself. You have an entourage,
right.
you have employees, like, how could
Yeah.
you not? Yeah.
And you become more and more detached from the reality of the everyday person. And I think that that's
I
what
know.
is what she's struggling with, you
And
know?
the
And I think
Taylor Swift too, I mean, so many
yeah,
people, like, I don't wanna
yeah.
hear about Balenci shades on, like,
Girl,
any
I don't wanna
song.
hear that. Exactly, especially
Yeah.
now, people literally the feast that people are gonna eat the rich with is already people bought the ingredients, girl. They're chopping the tomatoes and the onions, they're putting it together, like, they're getting ready to eat these like, they're about to get eaten. That's what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I nobody wants to hear about your money, girl, ever,
Mhm.
ever. So, you know what I mean? Not right now, not in this moment. When people are worried about the price of eggs, worried about gas, people are losing jobs left and right. Everybody's touched by this like supposedly good economy, but really that's an economy that is like the common man is like totally getting lost in or consumed by. And
Mhm.
with you know, it's like nobody wants to hear about your money. So that's I think that yeah, I think that it is sort of the um isolation of fame that is distancing, I think, her from what actually made her great. I think that's such a good observation. I never thought of that actually. So
Yeah.
I'm
Well, and
I'm gonna
also,
take that.
she's been in some, really, bad relationships, it seems like, so
Yeah,
sometimes I'm like, sometimes you just need a couple years to get out, clear your head,
that's right. That's right.
come
She's
back
gotta
to
stop. She's gotta
yourself.
stop. I don't know. That's I don't want to like spread too many rumors, but like her and
Older
her
men, put them
producers,
down. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
older men and the producers, girl. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's like, but you know, I was watching her in concert because anyway, I was watching her in concert and I can understand she really embodies like scorpionic energy. Like, you know, in terms of
Yeah.
like that sort of death rebirth, death sex rebirth that like Scorpios are like
And the
known
depth,
for
the
and the
observation, the
depth,
intensity.
exactly, the
Yeah.
intensity and the underbelly of it all. Like, and I can see why her creation of her if and who knows if the rumors are true. We don't know if the rumors are true, but why how the creation of her art would involve could turn romantic or turn sexual, like you know what I mean, because the work comes from such a deep place, like you know what I mean, it
Mhm.
almost feels like it's being birthed from the womb in a way, like you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
that's I think that that's like what her thing is, but
Maybe just a
I
young
believe in
producer
her.
then. Yeah,
Yeah.
someone her same age.
Yeah, exactly. I think that she'll find her way. I think that Virgin was a step in the right direction. What was that was a really good breakup anthem.
Oh, and I love Favorite Daughter too. That
Yeah,
was
oh
so
my God.
good.
Oh my God. And then this song Broken Glass, like I don't know, it's about her like eating disorder, but like I also think if you ever struggled with like food stuff, like that song is really profound. Like that song
Mm.
really like moved me spiritually, like in the concert. Like, you know, and I didn't even realize I had like a thing with eating, but I realized I did and when I was like listening to it, I was like, because this
Yeah.
resonates a little too much or
And that's
something.
what art is supposed to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just
Get you in touch
imagine.
with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about the next album
Yeah.
here, SZA with Control.
Oh man, what a great record. What a
This
great
was
record.
such an
Timeless.
exactly, timeless, like, you can
Timeless.
just put this record on for anything, I put it
Anywhere.
on
Yeah.
anything, all the way from a dinner party to having sex, like, I could
Yeah,
put this album
exactly.
on,
Exactly.
and, obviously, her second album, SOS, was also, I mean, good.
Yeah.
I almost
Yeah,
kind of
great.
think of both of those 2 albums as, like, Olivia Rodrigo's, like, the first album is
Yeah.
good, second
Yeah.
album is also good,
Yeah.
um, but what do you think made Control such a hit? And then also the interesting time period, 5 years between her first and second album.
Yeah.
Whereas typically, if somebody puts out a good first album, they're like, let's get the next one out in two
In
years.
2 years, yeah.
So, what do you think speaks to kind of her process in putting out these albums and what made Control such a hit?
I think that SZA waiting 5 years for between her albums is something that Chappell Roan should file away, like, and think about. So that's I know
Oh,
that's one point I wanna make. It's just
yes.
before, just file that away for later because I think that SZA's albums come from Control, and I'm thinking about Control, come from lived experience. It's very personal, very intimate, very sort of like almost like cringy thoughts too. Like the things that she's speaking of are things that you don't want to, things that people sometimes are ashamed of. Like, right, she's sort of speaking to the things that people sometimes like the thoughts that you think in a dark room alone that you never want to share, but she
Mhm.
somehow is like giving voice to them. And that sort of like voice towards humanity is, I think it really hits. I feel like Control, again, I remember where I'm looking at the album. It used to be, I'm looking at, I'm like, which apartment is this? Because I can see it on my vinyl
Oh,
shelf. I'm
yeah.
like, what
Yeah.
time, this must be 2016, 2017. It must have come out, right? Something like that. 26,
I
maybe
think so.
2018,
I think so.
something like that in that time
Yeah.
frame. Yeah. And I think in that time frame, again, I think we were coming off like the Drake era was kind of winding down, and
Yeah,
which is
Hotline
all about,
Bling was
yeah,
just,
Hotline
ending.
Bling. Exactly,
Justin
exactly.
Bieber's,
Justin Bieber.
Sorry.
Exactly. That's what, and
Yeah.
then we were looking for something intimate, something raw, something real, like something authentic. And I think that SZA really provided that, and I think that that's why Control is such a timeless record. But I think that removing herself and continuing to sharpen her craft and like gestating on the record for a long time is what made SOS such a concentrated, like, mm, product. I think that she had a lot of struggles with her label,
Yeah,
TDE,
I think
like,
she wanted to take even longer with it, didn't
yeah,
she?
I
Yeah.
think so. Like there was a lot of back and forth. And then I think recently she came out and said that, oh, the label like didn't even believe in this record. They didn't think it was going to do well and all this kind of stuff. And even though it was a total smash, but
Mhm.
I think that maybe she was underestimated in a lot of ways as well. And sometimes that sort of underdog positioning, and that's probably what it is. The underdog positioning probably keeps you in touch with
100%.
your artistry and your human, that hunger
Because
and
to
that
be an
grit.
artist is to
Yeah,
suffer. Like, you
that's right.
can't be an
That's
artist
right.
who isn't suffering, or even
That's
with
right.
creative people in general,
That's
I
right.
find this so true. You need to have confines and a structure. Like,
Yeah.
I do some of my best creative work when I'm busy and like overworked, or I had a
Yep.
9 to 5 job and I was
Yep.
doing this podcast on the side. The
Yep.
minute you have wide open plains, it's like your
Yep.
creativity just like goes poof into the air.
Exactly.
You need something to
Exactly.
like fight against, or
Right. Resistance.
yeah.
Resistance.
Yeah,
I think that
exactly.
that's like and that's, I think, what happened to Lorde. That's now that we're talking about
Mhm.
it, that's the difference between melodrama and solo power. Because I think that once Lorde nailed the sophomore album, everybody just expected her to be a hit. Because the rollout for solo power was huge, right? There, she was at the Met Gala, she was on the cover of Vogue. There was all these kind of different things that it was like there was an expectation it's just going to be great. And I think that she internalized that. Well, I'm just going to be great, right? So there was no resistance, and I think that because of that, we got sort of a flaccid, like literally like a flaccid album that kind of like sinks. If you think about like a piece of bread, I just sinks in the middle, kind of
I
like
know,
that. Like it just doesn't
when someone
rise.
says flaccid, I do think
Yeah.
penis, but I know what you're
Penis, yeah,
talking about.
exactly. I should, yeah, it's true. It does. Yes, penis is
It's a
another
little
way, but I think
flaccid.
that's another, yeah, exactly. It's true. Either way, but I'm thinking about, I am thinking about a bowl of bread, but it's like, I don't want to call you a flaccid penis, Lord. I'm so sorry.
But I know what
But
you
it's
mean,
true.
and
Yeah.
I find it interesting with SZA too that, like, if her first album was SOS, I think
Yeah.
obviously it would have been well received, but there was something
Yeah.
about Control that really
Yeah.
just,
Control
like,
was really something though.
it
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 was like, it
just
was really special.
yeah, and
Yeah.
even, like, the
Yeah.
album cover, I mean, although the album cover for SOS and that, like, Princess Diana kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
inspiration is also so good, or maybe it
Yeah.
was even, like, the songs being called, like, Drew Barrymore or something like that.
Yeah.
There's just, like, a little twist and a
Yeah.
little, I don't know, like, joie de vivre to something
Yeah.
that you don't normally see, and
Yeah.
I'm with you, I think it was so great. Well,
I-
should we talk about what it reminds me of?
yeah.
Because Olivia Rodrigo, I feel like
Mhm. Mhm.
Sour and then
Mhm.
Guts to me kind
Mhm.
of remind
Mhm.
me of like SZA's album Trajectory.
Yeah.
It was such a hit immediately when
Oh,
Olivia
yeah.
Rodrigo came out with Sour, and
Yeah.
obviously her first single, Driver's License,
She, like,
built
invented
up.
TikTok music, like, in TikTok music, like, she put TikTok music on the map, and
Yes.
that's when they had to That's when the government had to step in. They said we got to do something about this app. You know what I mean? Because
Because it blew up so much overnight.
it had too much power. It had too much
Yeah.
power. Too
No,
powerful.
I will
Yeah.
say though, this is kind of a little bit of a hot take of mine.
Mm.
Driver's license gets so much hype. I don't
Yeah.
really feel moved by the song. Like I love Good for You. I love Deja Vu,
Yeah.
Jealousy, Jealousy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder what it was about driver's license. Like, did it just hit for a group of kids who had just gotten their license or something? Because I'm like, I don't
I
think that was the
guess.
top
You want to
five.
know what it was? I think it was an unapologetic bridge. That's what I heard because I did not understand.
Stoplights.
Yes, yes,
Just
exactly.
see
That's
your
it. Your
face and
face,
be a good
exactly.
bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I wasn't on TikTok at the time, so this is why it was actually driver's license and people talking about this song. I was like, what are people talking about? Like, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
what people kept talking about was the bridge. So that's what I know that that's what it was because I was not part of the conversation and I became part of the conversation, and that's what people were talking about. They were talking about this bridge is really something because I think that at that moment there had been a paucity of bridges in pop music, and there was something about that bridge that stops you in your tracks, and people just want to. I still see your in the traffic
Yeah.
laughing. There's like something real like nostalgic about it and like consuming about it that I think people felt like it was really. I think it really struck people's emotions, and I think what makes Olivia Rodrigo. Listen, I think Olivia Rodrigo is the
I
future of
love
music.
no, me too. Like I
Girl, she's
just
the
love,
future. That's it.
love her to bits.
She's
Like
it.
she has
She's
that
it.
Taylor Swift, here's a page from my diary type
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
earnestness and like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Like I just love her. I think she's the
She
best.
speaks to like, I think she speaks to like, she makes me, reminds me of feelings that my old ass has forgot how to feel. Like she really does. She pulls it out of you. Like these teenage angst feelings, like this youth, like the angst and the pain and the agony of
Mhm.
growing and developing and being in your 20s. I'm thinking about the song Teenage Dream. I saw it at the Guts tour. Yo, I went to Guts. I wept through the entire show. Like I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Well,
I said
she's
this
also
girl's the
such
future
a
of music.
like you
Yeah.
look at her and even when she's doing the punk rock stuff, and
Yeah.
I remember too, there was this I think it was called Driving Home to You on like
Yeah.
Disney Plus or something. And
Yeah.
she drove across the country. And by the way, she did this unbelievable cover of Good for You with all of these strings and an orchestra and the
Wow.
mountain. And I think she sang like Deja Vu in like a DMV somewhere or something like that. Like
Wow. Wow. I gotta
it was
watch
just
this. Is
so,
it on YouTube somewhere?
yes, you have to watch
I
the
gotta watch
symphony
this. I'm
version
gonna
of
watch
Good
this.
for You.
I'm
Like
gonna watch this immediately after
it,
this.
it God, it's just like always hits. But
Yeah.
there's also something about her where I feel like she gives us something that we have not had for like the last 4 years, and
Yeah.
that's hope. Like you look at
Yeah.
Olivia Rodrigo and you're like,
Yeah.
you're such a good egg, and
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
everything so well.
Right.
And she had these like just like Gen Z like different mismatched tights or like a
Yep.
hat on. It was almost
Yep.
kind of that like Disney nostalgia for the way that she dressed with like her
Yeah.
long hair and the braids. But I'm just
Yeah.
a girl with a guitar at the piano and here's how I feel. Like
Yeah.
it just kind of revs up that part of your heart where you're like, this is music. This is a kid achieving their dreams and they're
That's
really
right.
good at what they do, but they
That's right.
also have a great work ethic. Like
Yep.
I
Yep.
just
Yep.
look at her and I'm like, I want everything in the world for Olivia Rodrigo.
That's right. I mean, and I think she's gonna get everything. I mean, even if people try to stop, I mean, I think there's somebody trying to stop her.
Me too.
Hmm. And why do you think that she that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other
Mhm.
topic. But I think the reason why Taylor did what she did to her is because she saw the potential. And I think
Which
she's which is like that's and she saw the potential and
and don't
and she
even
felt
get
threatened
me
by it.
started the way
Don't get me
that if
started.
the
It's so
roles were
low down,
reversed and
so
somebody
dirty.
did to Taylor at
What
age like
Olivia
16 what she
Yep,
did to Olivia, the
yep,
way
yep,
we would never hear about, like we would hear about it all the time as a
yep.
young woman in this
Yeah,
industry
exactly. She
for
would
one of
victimize
my
herself.
idols to like,
That's right. That's
ugh.
right. And she would never but Taylor is a perfect example of the cycle of violence, a cycle of trauma. That the one who is
Mhm.
traumatized becomes the person who does the traumatizing. And she literally says it in Father Figure. The only song that is like I don't like Life is Showgirl at all, but I found
We were
Father
so
Figure
aligned.
to
Yeah,
be
it's so
like,
compelling. There's something about it where
yeah,
you're
it's
like,
dark.
whoa,
It's dark.
yeah.
She's broken bad, girl. That lady's broken bad. She's broken
Whose
bad.
portraits on the mantle,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
something
She's
about
like,
that
yeah,
line.
who covers up your scandals? And
Mistake
she's
my
like, you'll be
kindness for
sleeping with the
weakness.
fishes. Yeah, exactly. And you'll be, yeah, exactly. It's like, she's broken bad, girl. She's broken bad. That's what it is. I think she's gone dark and she's decided that that's what I am now. I think it has a lot to do with her breaking up with Joe Alwyn, but that's a conversation for another day. You know what I mean? But because I think that
Dude,
she
I'm
was trying
so
to be good.
I'm
But
excited to have it though, because I'm gonna have to
yeah,
talk about
yeah.
Taylor Swift a little
I
bit.
know, I know,
But I
seriously.
want to know your thoughts
Yeah.
about
But
Guts, because some people
guts. Oh,
say
I
that,
love. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you
well,
for
some
reminding
say
me.
it was just like Sour Part Two. And I had heard from some people that her label saw the success of Sour
Yeah.
and they were really pushing her, like, basically make the same album because
Yeah.
it did so
Yeah.
well. And you
Yeah.
almost even see that maybe with like the purple continuity theme or the
Yeah.
4 letters for the album all in
Yeah.
caps. Obviously, Gut had more of kind of like a punk rock vibe to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what do you think in terms of album one and album two?
So I think Olivia Rodrigo Sour, like Sour was, I think it was a moment right there, and she
Hmm.
and the zeitgeist was hungry for her. So I feel like with Guts, they or sorry, with Sour, they pushed it out really fast and they kind of put an album together. It's great, it's a very good album, great album, lots of great songs on it. But I think that Guts was more so I think that Sour is obviously it's like one of the most streamed hour, it's like apparently number one most streamed album of the last decade in the 2020s, which is
I
crazy.
know, isn't that
Isn't
nuts?
that
Well,
insane?
also there were so many
Okay.
good hits from it, whereas I feel like
Yeah.
with Guts, Getting Back never really took off.
Yeah.
Vampire was
Yeah.
there, but I thought
Yeah.
that there were so
Yeah.
many other great. There wasn't really like a, I don't know, a moment for a single on Guts.
Yeah. I think that it didn't, but I still think that the album was good. I really like Guts. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
think I feel like even though Sour did better, I think that Guts represents that's when I started taking her seriously as an artist. Like I wasn't sure
Mm.
if she was gonna be a one kind of hit thing who they kind of forced out and like a TikTok artist who they just kind of pushed. But Guts, the fact that she went to ground and she like took like creative writing classes and
Oh yeah,
took
for
yeah
Lacey.
in
I
college for
mean,
Lacey. Yo,
oh
Lacey
my
is such a
God.
creepy ass song. That's how I knew skin like puff pastry.
Oh my God.
Like it's so
That and
scary.
Obsessed, like I'm also like, I have Scorpio placements. Like I
Yeah.
love to be obsessed. Like,
Yes.
so
Yes.
whenever Olivia
Yes.
sings about that, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
music to my ears.
Music to my ears. Yeah, exactly. Like the fixation and the like
Hmm.
fury of it all. It's like it's like so I think that it represents a development of her sound. I don't know. I think that she got ops. I think there are people trying to stop her bag, and that might be why the
Me
singles didn't do
too.
what they're supposed to
And I
do.
also
I
think
think
like
she's got resistance.
she's so creative, imaginative,
Yeah.
and that also comes with being very porous sometimes as a
Yes.
person. So
Yes.
in a way that
Amen.
I'm sure like Doja Cat could say like fuck you to people saying this, I'm sure
Right.
Olivia like takes it
It hurts
all
her.
in.
She's a Pisces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
she's Pisces. Yeah.
so I just
I
feel like she's so soft for this world, but we need her in it. And I guess
right.
my question to you is what would be, because there have been rumors that her third album was ready, but then she went
Yeah.
through that breakup
Break
and
up and
had
now
to
it's
scrap
scrapped.
some of the
Yep.
stuff on it. So what would
Yep.
be your perfect, if you could pitch like a third album from her, what direction would you want to see her go in?
I think whatever is I think that what makes Olivia so powerful as an artist is the authenticity of her self-expression. So
Hmm.
whatever it is that she's experiencing, putting that to pen, putting that to pen is what I would pitch for her next direction because I really think that she just has the chops. It doesn't matter. I think that whoever her ops are in the industry can try to stop her, but she's not stoppable. She can't be undone. I think the momentum behind her is too powerful.
And she's an
And
underdog. So like we
she's an
said,
underdog.
as long as you're an
Exactly.
underdog, you're putting good
That's
stuff
right.
out.
And also the resistance is probably what's going to keep the art great, right? The fact that
Yes.
she has ops is why the art's going to continue to hit, you know? So in a way they're feeding her artistry, you know, in a sense. But I think that no matter what she does, it's going to be good because I was talking to some like little kids one time. It was like 2 birthdays ago. I was in Big Sur and just talking to some like 7-year-olds. And they were like, we love Olivia Rodrigo. The chokehold this girl has on the youth, on like the tiny baby youth, is there. That's an audience that's going to grow with her for generations. So it's not, there's
Oh,
nothing they can do. The youth, the kids love her. They
and
love
you know
her.
what? Let
You
me
know?
tell you, the millennials too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
I
feel
love
like
her
the
too,
meme of
girl.
like the old
Yeah.
person, like,
Yeah.
what up, fellow kids? Every time I listen
Yeah,
to her,
that's
I'm like,
me.
that's
That's
me.
how I feel. Exactly. That's exactly who I am, girl. And I really, I she makes me feel like she reminds me what it was to be a teenager. Like, which is like I don't I've long forgotten what it was like to be a teenager.
Same. God, after
But
this, I'm gonna listen to her some more.
yeah,
Like, I just
she's
love
great.
her.
She's great. She's everything.
Well, this is a bit of a curveball, but I wanted to include them, and I'm gonna kind of add another band to this as well. Maroon 5, their first
Mm,
album, Songs
hmm.
About Jane.
Hmm.
So many people forget about this album, but it was
It's a great
hit
album. It's a great
after
album.
hit.
Yeah.
Harder to Breathe, She Will Be Loved,
Yep.
This Love, and
Yep.
then I think Tangled and Shiver are also so
Yep.
great, even though they weren't really singles. That album made Maroon 5 have so much promise, and I find it
Yeah.
interesting that another band with great albums at the beginning, Coldplay,
Mm-hmm.
both Coldplay and Maroon 5 now seem to kind of be this, good corporate band slot where, like,
Yep.
you're gonna
Yep.
hear them at weddings or, like,
Yep.
they'll perform and they won't do anything inoffensive.
Controversial.
But when you
Yeah.
look at their first couple of albums in their discography, you're like, they could have really they had the chops to do something big, and it seems like
Yep.
they just kind of settled and got commercial. So what do you think about both of these bands and their early work versus, where they are now?
I think that there's like a true compromise that people make when you decide to give yourself over to the machine fully and give your artistry over to the machine fully. And I think that that sort of sacrifice oftentimes comes at the cost of the art. Commercial viability and mass consumption oftentimes comes at the cost of the artistry, like the creativity and the uniqueness and the sharpness of it. And ultimately, I think that when you're chasing commercial viability, you are going to lose the thing that if you chase it in isolation, right? You're going to lose the thing that made you great in the first place. And I think that that's kind of what happened with Coldplay and also with Maroon 5 is that each time they do another album, it's like I think about it as like lemon juice, and just you keep adding water and pouring into the next thing and adding more
Mhm.
water to it and pouring only a little bit in, then more water. It's just so watered down from what they used to be and from what the concentrated like potency of their original work was. But I think it's because they're chasing mass appeal. And there's a lot of money to be made there, I guess. It's bands. I mean, bands, think about it. A band has to divide the money amongst like five, six, seven people, right? So,
That's just what I was thinking when you said that,
yeah,
and the only other, I don't know, grouping that I would put in this, like, commercial wedding
yeah,
band-ification is Bruno Mars, but Bruno
yeah.
Mars
I was
also
thinking
works
Rumors.
within a
Yeah,
group, and there's all these
yeah,
rumors that he's in gambling debt, so
yeah,
it's almost
yep,
like,
exactly.
all
And that's
right,
what
if
he's
you're a
doing.
big group, you have to sell out, and I'm sure
That's
for
right.
other groups, they don't do that because, I don't know, thinking about, like, the 1975 and Matty Healy, that's just a
Yeah,
front man who's so obsessed with, like, being a front man,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
that they would be like, "We're never gonna
Chaos
sell
agent.
out," you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, no selling out Friday day.
We're not selling that, not fucking today.
Not fucking today. Exactly.
So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
shame though because some of the I really liked Coldplay's album. I forget what it was, but it's the one he did after the conscious uncoupling with Gwyneth
Is it
Paltrow.
XY? XY with Fix You?
No, it was God, it was like a blue album. Let me
That's what you were.
and
I think I'm maybe not that you're with like the Tetris pieces on it.
no, it was a different one. It was
Oh,
Ghost Stories. This was 2014.
oh, okay,
Although, I
okay.
mean, X and Y, dude, that was so great.
I
But
love that
Ghost
album.
Stories, not a lot of people talk about. And
Yeah,
almost every single song is about Gwyneth Paltrow, and I thought that was a great album.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, here's some other ones that I didn't really do deep dives on, but I just want to bring them up because I think they're very interesting. The Fame with Lady Gaga.
Oh, what a great album! What a great album! What a
It,
great album!
it was
What a great
just
album!
such a phenomenal every single song on The
Electric.
Fame I can still listen
Yeah,
to today. I still
electric.
think it's an absolute masterpiece, and she had so many singles from that album, but also the songs that weren't singles, like Beautiful, Dirty, Rich, AA, There's Nothing Else I Could Say or whatever,
Yep.
or I Like It Rough. Like, even
Yeah.
the songs that weren't singles were so good, and Lady Gaga also, her look was so unique. This was
Yep.
at the time where I feel
Yep.
like Rihanna had, like, red hair and Katy Perry
Yep.
had blue hair, and then Lady
Yeah.
Gaga had the lightning bolt on her
Like the
eye.
lightning. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and it was really, like, at the beginning of this entire renaissance of being, like, a pop star that you could dress up as for Halloween, but
Right.
the
Right.
music matched it, and
Right.
you brought up a great point on one of your videos where you were saying that with the Mayhem album, it's almost like she kind of reheated her
Refining.
nachos, but
Yeah.
she did it in such a better way than Katy
Right.
Perry did.
Right. Right.
So tell
Right.
us about
Right.
that.
Yeah. Like so with Lady Gaga, I think that she took everything that she's learned from being a pop icon for many years, took a step back from her art and pursued her other creative pursuits, did the Joannes, did House of Gucci, like all that stuff, did
Oh, yeah.
A Star is Born, you know what I mean? Like really, and I think circled back to her original formula, but did it with the knowledge and the insight that she's gained over the years. So it felt authentic. It felt less like, I feel like Katy Perry was like, I want to be famous again. Make me another great album, Dr. Luke. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's not, as opposed to Lady Gaga, where I feel it was, I'm coming with this experience. I want to revisit this sound, but I'm coming with this point of view. You know what I mean? And all these things that I've seen and all these things that I've experienced, like, I remember like when I heard Disease for the first time, like Disease,
Oh.
again, we didn't do enough with Disease, girl. And I saw that video of Disease, girl,
Oh,
that
the girl,
video.
by the way, who directed and was in it, Lexi Smith, have you heard about
Yeah,
her? She's
no,
like Addison Rae's like best friend, although they recently had a falling out. But if you go to Lexi
shame.
Smith's Instagram
Yeah,
and you've ever wondered, we did a whole Patreon episode on this. If you've ever wondered, why did Addison suddenly change her entire look? Just
yeah,
go to Lexi Smith's Instagram. She
really.
basically took everything from Lexi Smith. She's this
Yeah,
girl who's a creative director, a choreographer. She dances. She has such a cool style about her,
yeah,
and she
yeah.
worked on that music video with Lady Gaga for like 3 days straight. Like the way
Wow.
she's such an artist with her body.
Yeah,
And then
it's
she also
crazy.
basically did everything with Addison for her new
Wow,
album,
wow, that makes
creatively.
sense. That
Yeah.
makes
So
sense.
when
That
I
makes
saw
I
that
can
music
see
video, I
the
was like,
I can see the connection, like the creative vision. Like if you think about Aquamarine and then also Disease, I can see the
yeah,
vision. I
so
can
like
see that you
weird
can
and
see weird
funky
out
and
of like, yeah, and like
yeah.
contortionist, like, moving your
Hmm.
body in like weird ass ways. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like it, God. That's really, I have to look at her Instagram. I'm gonna look at it like right away as soon as
Yeah.
there's
No,
so many
you're
things.
gonna like
I
it.
should be writing things down. Okay, there's so many things I have to do. I gotta watch this Olivia Rodrigo thing. I gotta listen. I look at Lexi Smith's Instagram. Gosh, I gotta look at that. But I think that what that was, I mean, again, once again, I think also it's like the collaborators too. The collaborators with a vision, collaborators with a fresh
Yeah.
point of view. That's another thing that I think is like really key and really critical, as opposed to going. I think with Katy Perry, she just went back to the old formula, found all
Yeah.
the old people and said, let's recreate Teenage Dream. That's not how it works, girl.
Well,
You got
Lady
to figure out.
Gaga seems to be like very glued. Like I think it was Gustavo who
Yeah.
like produced a lot for
Hmm.
Mayhem. And then I
Hmm.
remember obviously in the Fame, red wine, Lady Gaga. So she was always shouting out that handle. So I think like having a
Yeah.
good collaborative
Yep.
partner
Yep. Yep.
is good. And
Yep.
we see that for Olivia Rodrigo. She has that guy Dan
Yeah.
Najero
Dan
or
Nigro.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Nigro. Yep. Hmm.
So I think that's good. Another one that I want to reference, Invasion of Privacy with Cardi
Oh,
B. I find
I just went to her
this
concert. Great
oh
show.
my, was it amazing?
Yo, it was everything. Okay, listen.
I want to go
We've
so
been waiting for
bad.
this girl to go on tour for so long, and she really decided to turn it out. She said, y'all been waiting for 7 years for this. I'm gonna put on a show." Okay, literally, it was a show. It was really something. I
She's
gotta make a
so
TikTok
fucking
about it.
funny
She's
too. Like,
hilarious. She's
yeah.
so funny. She's such a dynamic performer too.
Yeah, she has a lot of just like Leo energy and everything. Like
Yes,
she's meant to
yes,
shine. But
yes.
when I think of Invasion of Privacy, I actually compare it kind of to Sour from Olivia
Yeah,
Rodrigo
yeah.
because
Hit after hit.
hit after hit, but then also a single that then made
Hmm.
everybody so ready for the album. And when she put out
Hmm.
Bodak Yellow, that also went viral online. And then by the time
Hmm.
Invasion of Privacy came out, oh my God, it was like so huge. Every single song on Invasion of Privacy is good. And I still
Yep.
like what she puts out, but I don't know if anything's compared to Invasion of Privacy.
Yeah,
But what do you think?
yeah, yeah. I don't know that anything has either. I mean, Invasion of Privacy was such a singular record. Like it was, because the number of hits, every single song on that album went platinum.
Oh
It's
my
crazy.
God.
Every single song went platinum, which is crazy. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Every song went platinum, and it was hit after hit after hit after hit. And I think that what happened is that Cardi got scared. She got too scared to put out another album because of Invasion of Privacy was so incredible, and she achieved everything she wanted, and she let her
She got
fear
the
get the
yips.
best of us. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. She let her fear get the best of her. Am I the Drama is a good album. It's definitely solid. There's good songs on it, but I think that she waited too long. And I think that if you look at all her singles that she put out and you put those all in an album, that would have been a banger second album. But she was too
Hmm.
scared to actually do the work because she didn't want it to be less successful than Invasion of Privacy. So it's almost like she waited until it didn't matter if it was less successful. And then that's when she did it. I don't
Yeah.
know. So it's
I
kind
could
of,
see that.
yeah.
And then Harry Styles, I thought his debut album was fantastic, but I feel like
Yeah.
every other thing he releases, it's the lemon and the water. And like,
Yeah.
soon is he going to be a
Yeah.
Coldplay Maroon
Is he
5
gonna
type of
be? Yeah.
situation?
Yeah. I was listening to his new album today. And I don't know. I think he's trying to change directions. I think he's trying to mature with his music. I think he's probably inspired by it. The album sounds to me like it could have been released in the indie scene in circa like 2013, like, you
Mm,
know, so he
mhm.
seems like he's like being very deeply influenced by like 2000s indie, like late 2000s early 10s indie, um eh, and trying to find his artistic vision, you know. But you know, men, art, I don't know, like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. And then the last one I want to do here before we move on to this other section is Avril Lavigne. I feel like her first
Oh, what a great
album,
album.
Let
What a
Go,
great
was so
album.
great,
What
but
a
then her
great album.
clone took over and then it hasn't
Yes,
been the
the clone
same since.
theory. Listen, that's the only people have been talking to me about this clone theory stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, girl, because you were turn around and tell me Selena Gomez is a clone, everybody's a clone, Kanye's a clone. I said, girl, I don't know if everybody's a clone. I do think Avril Lavigne might be a clone, though.
Well, it's just Let Go was so good. And then like you
Yeah,
listen to some of the newer stuff and you're like, it
yeah.
just doesn't have
It's what
any.
the edge to it.
Hmm.
Again, I think it's a corporation. The corporations take over and they dilute the lemonade. That's it.
Yeah.
They turn it into just watery, sugary nothing. Like
Yeah.
nothing. Like, you know, don't taste like nothing.
Well, recently we have a few albums who we can really only judge them by their debut because they don't
Mm-hmm.
have a sophomore album yet. But
No.
these three artists, both Addison Rae, Audrey Hopper, and Chapel Roan, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
their debut album, to me, like 10 out of 10. Like I
Mm-hmm.
loved it for all of
Mm-hmm.
them. So I'll be
Mm-hmm.
curious to see what happens with their sophomore album. For each of these artists, Addison Rae, Audrey Hopper, Chapel Roan, what advice would you give them for their next album, considering all of the pitfalls that we've just talked about? I know
It's
you
so
said Chapel should take some time, right?
she needs to take time. That's what I think. I have thoughts. I'm not familiar with Audrey Hopper, but I do have thoughts. Addison, keep going in the direction that
Okay.
you're going.
Yeah.
Because I think Addison, like, there, unfortunately for her, people have a big stigma about TikTok, and people are still talking about how she's a TikTok artist and all this stuff, even though that's not what she is. That's
Mhm.
artistry. That's an artist. Like, you know, she's got a vision. She knows what she's doing, and her sort of hyper femininity too, like the fact that she works with like an all-female team and is
Mhm.
surrounded by women, and her sort of like weird aesthetic grungy choices. I feel like she's
Although now that her and
I
Lexi Smith
know.
aren't friends, like who
Yeah, they
knows?
might
Oh,
not. Who
another
knows?
interesting thing about Addison Rae is that it's very different. Like when I listen to Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter, I want to
Yeah.
know who the song's about and I want to know who
Yeah.
they're dating. With
Yeah.
Addison Rae or like
There's a
Lady
detachment
Gaga,
from
I
it,
don't give two
distance.
rips who they're dating.
Right, right, exactly,
Interesting. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, well, I think that that's their personal life is not necessarily part of the product, because I think that a lot of it is interior. It's kind of like what we're talking about with Lorde, but that she's not really able to do that well. It's that eye focus versus like the interior focus. You know what I mean? Where I think like her songs like "Money Is Everything," love New York, I love New York, I love New York, love New York. You know, and
Yeah, or
then
when she's like, "The world's my oyster, I'm the only
yeah,
girl."
I'm
Meanwhile,
the only
Taylor
girl.
Swift is
Yeah,
like, "It was a red scarf. It was
yeah.
in your drawer. It was
Yeah,
the third
exactly.
drawer."
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So she's speaking about, I also think that so much of her music, it's like I because she's juxtaposing the like sort of profanely materialistic with the like the sort of artistic vision, and it's sort of asking you to confront your internalized misogyny in a lot of ways, in order to take her art seriously. And so for Addison, I think she just keep going, whatever, she keep doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
and make up with Lexi. Apparently make
I
up with Lexi.
know.
I
I
need to make up,
know.
because that's going to be a problem for her. That's going to be a problem.
No,
I'm
I
sorry to
agree.
say.
I want the girls back together.
They need to
So,
get back together. Figure out how to get your friend back. Okay, that's it. That's
mhm.
what I say. Say sorry, apologize, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? It's your fault. Get your friend
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
That's
grovel.
just
Grovel
grovel.
and
Do what you
beg.
need to do. That's it. Because you don't want to lose your artistic visionary. Because that's really what's making her stuff interesting,
And
especially
your
for me.
partner, because I
That's
think
right.
with a lot of these albums that have done well, somebody has a partner to bounce things
That's
off
right.
of, and you
That's
need
right.
that. Now, for
Yeah.
Chapel, though, you would advise her to maybe like take 4 years or something.
Yeah. Chapel needs to take a step back from all of this. Because here's the thing. The Rise and Fall of Midwest Princess took her 5-6 years to write.
Hmm.
And that album is a really good album, really great album, actually great album. It really is, and has a lot of really powerful anthems. And but it took her 5-6 years, and getting dropped by a label and getting rejected and having to retool and rework and whatever in order to come out with that product. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think that some people just take time to make records. Like, some people just take time. And I think that people probably feel chaperone, momentum, we got to shove out the next record. if they shove out something that she's not happy with, she tells everything on her face anyway. She's gonna have a puss on her face. She's gonna be mad the whole time. She's gonna be like this, and she's not gonna want to perform the music, and she's gonna not like it, and she's gonna be miserable. Girl, go away, go back to Missouri if you need to, whatever, and find yourself, figure out who you are, and write about what you know. That's what I would say.
What do you
Write
think
what you
about
know.
the two singles, The Giver and The Subway, that we've gotten so far?
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. See,
That's what
I
I'm
liked
whatever.
The Subway.
The
I will
subway,
say
the
I
subway's a song
listened to The
she's had
Giver
it
for
for a
like
while. Yeah,
yeah.
and then also let me sorry, repeat what you're saying. What are you
Oh
saying?
no, I was just gonna say like I listened to The Giver for a week. It was fun,
Yeah,
but not in the way that I still listen to Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess.
right.
And The Subway I did like, but I found it was interesting. It almost had that kind of 90s like Fade Into You or Linger
Yeah,
by the Cranberries type of energy to me, which is obviously very different from
yeah,
everything that's on the Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. So
yeah.
I think it would be interesting if for her next album, and we'll talk about this for the next section, how to get out of the album yips that some of these
Mm-hmm.
celebrities might be having. But
Yeah.
I think genre switching is really fun for people to do. And
Yes.
I think it gives you that resistance that you need as a creative to have
Yes.
confines to break out of. So I
Yes.
think that if Chappell Roan kind of switched genres, and please God, don't have it be country. Just like, why is everyone going country? Like, it's just
Girl,
not for
I'm tired.
me.
It's not interesting
You
to
know,
me.
Sabrina
No,
Carpenter is going to be going at like Lana Del Rey, like
girl.
everyone's going country.
Yeah.
So I just hope she doesn't do that. I hope The Giver was a one and done when it comes to country.
Right,
Yeehaw.
right. Yeehaw. Yeah, exactly. I think with the subway, the subway was a song that she was playing in her live shows that I saw. I saw her, she played it live before the single came out. And the song never really struck me. But then they added all the like the bombasticness
Yeah,
of
the
like pop music,
belting.
the belting,
Yeah.
she's gone away. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then the music video was great with all the hair, whatever.
Mhm.
So, I think that song is solid. I think that she I think she needs to go away. That's what I think. Go away.
Okay.
That's what I can say.
I mean,
This
it
is
it
not like effort.
it works for a lot of these great artists.
Yeah.
It worked for SZA. It works
Yeah.
for I think taking your time
Yeah,
is
that's
always
what
a
I
good
think.
thing.
That's what I think. I think that's what, because I think that she has a point of view. I think that she's a unique personality and a unique person who has something to say and who is adding something to the zeitgeist, the culture. And I think that she is probably angry. Well, she seems like she's, the fame monster. She's had a lot of feelings about it, and I think that I think she has a point of view, but I think she just needs to hone her craft and don't let anybody push out an album before it's ready, girl, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
not that good. You know what I mean? So
Well, let's talk about how you get out of these album yips. And
yeah,
if you're a artist and you keep putting out mid albums, what you could do. Here's what I came up with. I
yeah,
thought that number one, you could genre switch, like we
yep,
saw Beyonce do this.
yep,
You could go from a group to a solo project, whether it's like
mm-hmm,
Blackpink or Harry
yep,
Styles from 1D.
mm.
You could take a bunch of drugs and change your reality like the Beatles. That's
Yeah,
always people forget that's on
love
the
that.
menu. I'm like,
That's what
I
happened.
think
Yeah,
Taylor Swift needs
exactly.
to, I don't know, have like an ego death and do some
That
acid.
she really does. She needs to go. She needs to go take some ayahuasca, girl. Like what did Kendrick say to Drake? You need to take some ayahuasca, strip that ego from the bottom. That's
Yeah.
that's what she needs to do. She needs some ayahuasca, girl. So
So I think
acids
that
not gonna do it.
it's just an option. And then also,
Yeah,
you could reheat your nachos, but
yeah,
sometimes it goes poorly, like Katy Perry, but sometimes it
mm-hmm.
goes well, like Lady Gaga. So
Yeah.
let's talk about a celebrity that we both like to talk about, Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Swift.
Would you
Yeah.
give her any of these prescriptions or something different? Because obviously, Life of a Showgirl, eh, you know,
Girl, Life of a Showgirl, I feel like she put out Life of a Showgirl because she does not. She sees the new pop girls, the new class of pop girls coming up, and she's always been hyper fixated with aging out. That has always been something that she's been worried about even since I think as early as Speak Now or Red or whatever.
and
She
by
was
the
talking
way,
about it.
more so than Lana Del Rey. Like Lana Del
Yeah.
Rey was always singing about being a Lolita. I was like,
Yeah.
when she gets older, she's gonna freak out. But now
Yeah.
she's like, I married a swamp guy and I'm just like
Yeah.
doing my own thing.
The Swamp Girl.
She's reheating her nachos kind of in a
Yeah.
cool way with the stuff
Yeah.
she's releasing.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that it would be Taylor Swift who would be like, I'm clinging on to this,
Yeah,
you know?
desperately, like with
Yeah.
with iron fists. I think that that's what it is. I think she forced out Life of a Showgirl because she needs to be in the conversation. She has a hard time watching the Olivia Olivia Rodrigo's, Sabrina Carpenter's, even Rosé's, Gracie Abrams. I think she's struggling to watch the class move on and be inspired by her, but have her not be part of it anymore. And she feels she's clinging onto it desperately. And she still has a lot to say. I really think if she did not put out Life of a Showgirl and put out Torture Poets, a more refined version of Torture Poets, when Life of a Showgirl came out, that would have done well. People would have been
Yeah.
happy to hear from her. But
Yeah.
she's too much in our faces. She needs to go away. That's what needs to happen. Get out of my face. Like, go away
Well,
for a
also it
while.
works well. Like Adele, every time she comes back,
Yeah.
people are so
They're
excited.
thirsty for her.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing. And I mean, Taylor, when we were talking about like people who've genre switched out of a flop era, the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about your examples, I thought about Lover to Folklore. That
Oh
I think
my
that is
God,
a
yes.
classic example of going
So
from being
good.
an artist in decline into an artist who reached a peak that she had never even reached in her entire career, the entire
Mhm.
time. And that was it, that's classified as a genre switch, but a genre switch that was going to ground in a sense, where like Taylor Swift, folk music and country music have a big relationship. It's literally sometimes you can't even tell. It just has to do with like how much twang there is in the music. It's like folk music, country music are very related. And great songwriting is what she does best, right? So she pulled from her roots, which country is her roots, and her songwriting skills. She pulled that in, took a turn into folk, which is not too divergent. So something that she could really master and do well, and did it in a really incredible way. And that was able to basically launch a whole other like career for her. I feel like this is I feel like Taylor Swift's debut through Lover, that was one career. I think this is a second career. This is a second life for her because I think that,
Same.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha, like they see her as one of them. But the thing is, at the end of the day, she isn't one of them. Taylor's my age. Like it's not, you're not always going to be able to hold on to that at some
Yeah.
point.
It also
The,
felt too like she had a second constraint with Folklore
yeah,
and Evermore because, well,
yeah,
although I don't know if this is true, but she said that the songs were fictional. So
yeah.
that's almost like a creative writing prompt to like
Mm-hmm.
put restrainints on you and make
Yep.
something in it. But then I think you look at some of the songs and you're like, well, you said it was fictional because a lot of them are about Maddie Healy and you were dating someone, so you had to say that they were
Yeah.
fictional.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that could have
Or
been
she didn't want to
cool.
tell us about her relationship with Joe Alwyn. I don't think she really wanted to tell us the problems or the flaws in that relationship because I think that Joe was a very private guy.
Mhm.
And I think that the relationship was like constraining and kind of like suffocating in certain ways for her. So I don't think that she wanted us to know because I think she was desperate to make that relationship work. So she had this veneer of the whole like fake the whole like creative writing prompt when really, a lot of it was coming from like experience, like, you know what I mean, or fantasy. You think about
Yeah,
illicit affairs and the whole Maddie Healy of it all. You have to wonder, what was
I
that about?
know. I think about that
Was
all the
that a
time.
fantasy? Hmm. We'll find
So,
out.
if the prescription for Taylor Swift is to go away for a little bit, what
Yeah.
would you suggest? Is it like go away and live on a farm? Is it try a different genre you haven't tried? Like, what do you think could get another good album out of her?
Uh, I think she should go away and take some college writing classes, actually. I think she should take some
Ooh,
classes. Yeah.
I like
Because
that.
I think that Taylor has all the skills of a great writer, but people might cancel me for this. But I think what makes her good and not great is because she's not trained. She needs training. Like, I think she
Yeah.
should go to school. That's why I think that would take her work to the next level. Because I think that folklore, I think Joe helped her edit a lot of it. And probably there was a lot of like people come because I think what's going on with Life of Showgirl, nobody can say no to her now because she's too powerful, she's too big, and she doesn't take well to criticism. It seems to me, you know what
Hmm.
I mean. So people, if you listen to those clips she showed us of like her talking to Max Martin, she's like, "Oh yeah, I got it." Like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's very unself-aware that she even put those out. Like, why are you showing that to us anyway? But
I
whatever.
know. No, I
Like, what
know.
are you doing? Like, it's so out of touch. But whatever, fine. Show
Although I
us.
ate it
Yes,
up. I was like, why would you
I
put this
did.
out? And then I was like,
Yeah,
another one, please.
yeah, I know exactly. I did listen to all of them, girl. I did listen to all of them. I did. It's true, exactly. So it was a little bit cringe though. But I think that the thing is she doesn't have anybody who can tell her anything anymore. So getting a collaborator who can actually speak to her artistry would be helpful to her. And then also I think going to school and having someone rip apart your artistry and say, this is too on the nose, this isn't as good as you think it is, like whatever. Because a lot of her writing techniques, she's like, people, so many people have told her, oh, you're the greatest songwriter of all time, greatest songwriter of all time. She thinks she can just write anything and she's the greatest songwriter of all time. Everything she writes is gold. But that's not how it is when it comes to creative things. And you and I both know this in this space. Like, you know, when you are actually writing, it takes a long time to actually get to a draft that is worthwhile. And I think that 200 Poets is a very good example. A very good example. A very good example of a situation where she didn't, where she wasn't really able to edit her work. And even though there was a lot of great work there, it wasn't edited enough. So it got kind of lost in like the slop of it all. That's what I think happened there.
Yeah, I have trouble with all celebrities who oscillate between two things that are different. Like I always say with Hailey Bieber, I feel like half the time she's like, I'm a nice Christian wife. And then the other half,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm a bitch. And it's like,
Yeah.
who are you? And
Yeah.
I
She
feel
don't
like
know.
with Taylor Swift, like, I feel like, yeah, like on Life of a Showgirl, I feel like she oscillates between, there's a few things. Number one is I'm the victim
Yep.
versus I'm the boss and I control everything.
Right.
And
Right.
then another
Exactly.
thing she oscillates between is Balenci shades, I'm Elizabeth Taylor, I would
Yeah.
buy all of these things,
Yep.
wish list, I'm so like, I don't even need it because like I want other things versus I'm back in high school and I'm just a girl in her bedroom. And it's like
Yeah.
you only really are doing those two things at this point. And I think the mark of a good artist is to be able to make every single moment like relatable because it touches a
Right.
core truth. And
That's
I
right.
think
That's right.
even with Taylor Swift, like for example, what is it like to be at the top and be terrified of slipping down the ladder? That could
Right.
be a great
Right.
song, and she has
Right.
experience with that.
Right.
Or
Right.
writing about how every single aspect of your life is under surveillance. It
Yep.
might seem like that's only for a celebrity, but as we were talking about with Gen Z and cringe culture and social
Mm-hmm.
media,
It
a
probably
lot of people
resonates.
feel that way. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
not every song needs to be about like Travis's dick and like your Balenci
Yeah.
shades. Like,
And
you
her
could write
trying to
about these other
be Sabrina
aspects.
Carpenter. Yeah.
Oh God. And it's
It-
just so nice. Even Sabrina, though, I will say, like, I thought Man's Best Friend was kind of just a 2.0
yeah.
of,
Yeah.
short and sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Just try to extend the era a little
Yeah,
longer. That's
so
what I
I hope
thought.
we get, like, a different album from her next
Yeah.
because I like Sabrina, but
Yeah.
and I loved House Tour, but I was just kind of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah,
see.
I agree. I think I completely agree that like that what great art is something that touches a core truth, right?
Yeah, like, for
So
example, you watch a good, like, war movie or something.
yeah,
I've never been
yeah,
in war, but I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh my god," it's like I'm the I
yeah,
feel for this, and it's like,
right.
what the hell do I know about what's happening on the beaches of Normandy? Like, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But it's a human experience. It's like the realities of the human experience. But the thing about Taylor that I think when I watched that Eras Tour documentary, this dog is acting up. Anyway, when I watched that, she's like scratching things. I don't know what she's doing, but anyway, hopefully it won't make too much noise. But when I was watching that Eras Tour documentary, I feel that Taylor has detached herself from her humanity and repressed her emotions. So, because I think that Joe and Maddie thing in combination was like shattering for her. I think it was
Yeah.
actually really, and then to be on the Eras Tour while that is happening, I
It's a
think it like,
survival mechanism, you
yeah,
know? Yeah, like, let
exactly.
me dissociate so
That's
hard
right.
that yeah.
That's right. And I think so. I think she's detached from her emotional body and her emotional self. Cause like when I was listening to you, when you were talking about Taylor, talking about the fear of being at the top and whatever, the thought I had, I was like, is she even in touch with that emotion though? Would she be able to access that? Would she be able to access that reality? I don't know that she can right now. You know what I mean? Like, so
Mhm.
maybe that's another thing. Go to therapy. Go do some EMDR. Now, how about that?
Yeah,
Go to
that's yeah.
therapy.
I'm
Go
curious too
go to
because I know
school.
from, like, an older documentary, I think she said that she had never been to therapy, like, her mom is her therapist or something, but I also understand how if you're the most, famous person in the world, you're probably really nervous to meet with anyone and what happens
Yeah.
with your secrets, but then also,
Yeah.
like, tons of celebrities have therapists,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
your
And we're under
secrets would be
HIPAA.
safe, like, I think Taylor
We're under
Swift sometimes
HIPAA.
thinks that, like, "I can't do anything because I'm so famous and so
Yeah.
powerful." For example, like, not saying anything when the White House uses her music, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're not able to do this, but everyone underneath you can, and they're
Yeah.
also famous. So,
Be
like,
serious.
you can
Be
still do
serious. She could
things.
do it if she wanted to. She
Yeah.
could do it if she wanted to. I think that listen, it's a controversial take. Um,
It's
I
good. We
think
save it for the
that
end of the episode, so
yeah,
only
that's right.
the real ones are around at this
That's
point.
right. Exactly. Exactly. Only the real ones around. I think that the reason why Taylor Swift has never been in therapy is because the system does not want her to get better.
Oh, you
Because
mean, like,
her
people on her team would tell her not
yeah,
to?
yeah. I think
Ooh.
that I don't think the system wants her to get better. I think that yeah, they're monetizing off of her like her issues, and also I think the control they have over her. In order to be an entity like Taylor Swift, there's a lot of things that go into it, and there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of things at stake, and therapy can break the walls of your matrix, and it can make you start to question aspects of
Oh,
your
by the way,
prison.
that's why I had to stop doing therapy because
Yeah,
we're recording right now, March 9th. I'm
yeah,
doing a bunch of episodes before I leave on vacation later in March. And I was
yeah,
like, I can't do therapy because I've been doing this new form of therapy and I can't afford to then after each session, I need like 3 hours to
yep,
regroup because
yep,
I'm
yep,
processing it all. And I'm like,
yep,
I need to be working. So like I need to put
yeah,
this on pause because like I don't have
yeah,
time to
yeah.
dedicate to it.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. Because
Ugh.
that's what it does. It like it kind of like it. You have a worldview, and it basically challenges you to start questioning it,
Mhm.
questioning it, and pulling apart at the pieces of it. And I think that if Taylor Swift really got with a good therapist, they might ask a very difficult question, which is, how much of your humanity did you give up to be Taylor Swift? Like, and what has that done to you?
I just got chills. And by
Yeah,
the way, I think she would be great at therapy because like she
yeah,
was a good student. She has a great
yeah,
work ethic. Like if
yeah.
she ever did that, I think the results would be beautiful.
Yep, yep,
And then, but
yep.
I also
It'd be
got
art.
chills kind of when you talked about like how her team doesn't want her to do it. Like
I don't think they do.
you don't know what these people are like on a team. Like what if
That's
before she
right.
comes into the conference room, Olivia Rodrigo's on the front page of a newspaper and they put
Yeah.
it there in her
Just to
line of
provoke
sight?
her. Just to
Exactly.
provoke her.
Just to make her
Right.
want to do another
That's
album.
right.
Like
That's
these
right.
people are
That's
crazy in
right. That's
Hollywood.
how they are. You know what I mean? And for somebody like Taylor to be where she is, it can't have been, and also the other, it can't have been all by herself. And there also has to be an engine driving it. And there also has to be workings that are happening. You know, the other thing that bothers me about Taylor is that the family is so closely involved with the
I
business.
know. Oh my God. One of the
I don't trust
episodes
it.
we almost did, which I'll
Yeah.
probably do like
Right.
sometime later, is all about
Right.
Taylor Swift and her father because I'm so
Yeah.
interested in
I
that
do want to,
dynamic.
I'll come back for it. I was
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
nervous. I was too nervous. It was one of the possible topics, guys. And I was like, I don't know.
Or by the way, we could do it at some
No.
point
Yeah.
on your podcast because you are
Yeah.
starting a new
Yeah.
podcast, which all the info will be in the show
Oh, yeah.
notes.
Yeah.
It's
We could
called
do that.
Critical Condition. And you
Critical
were
condition.
telling me
Yeah.
about the idea. So tell everyone, I guess, about the idea for this podcast. It sounds so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, my new podcast is going to be called Critical Condition. It's sort of what it's meant to be. You know, I'm a doctor, so it kind of is a play on that, but it also is really going to be kind of a critical analysis of the culture. We're going to do like in the beginning, we'll do like morning rounds, like pop culture, like hot takes and stuff like that, like just what's going on. And then every week there'll be like a case study, something that we'll really kind of like deep dive into and like really get into the weeds of and analyze. And then the take home will be what does that say about the culture right now, you know? And
Mm.
that's my plan, and hopefully the episodes will be launching very soon, and hopefully maybe even by the time this airs.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like I'm a podcast girl. Like if I
Yeah,
had screen time for my AirPods, I would be horrified because they're just
yeah,
like always in my ears playing
yep,
something.
yep, yep, yep.
But I'm so excited about this. And I'm so happy that
Yeah.
you came on. Like this is
Oh my
just
god,
I wanted to do this
this
for a
was
while.
so fun. I'm so excited that you reached out to me. I was like, when I got that email, I said, like,
No, I fangirled in your email. I felt like I was emailing a crush. I was like, I hope they
that
respond.
I was no, I was like fluent. I was like, because it's one of my favorite podcasts. Like, I don't like
Oh,
I don't really listen to podcasts anymore. You're the only podcast I listen to. Like, it's like one of the only podcasts I still listen to these days.
thank
You
you
know,
so
so I
much.
was like, huh? And I called my cousin. I said, girl, I think this is that is this what it is? And we were like looking at it. He was like, what? So we were so excited. So
Oh my God. Well, you just made my day. And honestly,
yeah,
like right back at you, because the minute you put out a video, I put in my AirPods and because
yeah,
they're nice and long, I'll
yeah,
like do my
yeah,
nighttime routine to it and all of this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I'm just so excited when Critical Condition is out. I will be the
Oh my
very first
gosh.
person to
Oh my
be
gosh. Thank
subscribing to your
you.
feed.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm yeah, I'm excited. This has been an interesting pivot, but really excited for what the future holds. I really am enjoying this like pop culture space. I mean, this is stuff I've been talking about. It's like the same cousin I was talking to. He was like, we've been talking about this stuff forever. You know what I mean? This like these are conversations I just have with one person, but now we're
Yes.
just having it with the internet. You know what I mean? As well.
And
So
that's what I get down on the internet all the time, but it is so
yeah,
great about stuff like this, like the ways you can
yeah,
connect to people and find somebody who
yes,
thinks in a similar manner. Like it's
yes.
it's just really beautiful, I
It's
think.
powerful. It's
Yeah.
powerful.
Well,
So
thank you
yeah,
so much for coming on. Everybody go subscribe to Critical Condition on the RSS feed. It's going to be in the
yay,
show notes. And
yes,
thank you for coming on. Thank you everyone for listening. And I
yeah.
will see you guys next week for another
Okay,
episode of Fluently Forward. Bye guys.
bye.